one of the questions I used to ask educators a lot was in conference settings and stuff. I'd explain how robotics and AI are going to, transform transportation, retail, hospitality, and I'd go through the whole industry list. And the educators are sitting there going like, "Wow, that's going to take away a lot of other people's jobs." But then I would talk to the educator, and I think that educators are relatively safe because I think that human connection is exceedingly important. But one of the interesting aspects is I would often ask them, okay, so who, you're all teachers, so you've all gone to university. Who worked your way through university? And on average, 70% of the hands would go up. And then I would say, okay, out of the people whose hands are in the air, like keep your hands in the air if you could not have gone to university if you did not work your way through. So who needed to work your way through university? And usually about 30% of the hands would stay up. So then I would ask them, what kind of jobs did you guys work while you were going to university? Hospitality, retail. It's a laundry list for the jobs that are going away. And so I'm like, okay, so in 5 years' time, when people just like you, intelligent, high functioning people are sitting there and you graduated high school and you want to go to university to become a teacher, 30% of you wouldn't have been able to make it because you wouldn't have been able to get those entry level jobs you needed in order to pay your bills to make your way through. So this is the changes that we're talking about. They're not just about jobs. These are societal things and pivots that are coming. And for this reason, it's really important that we have literacy across society. Everybody has to understand this so we can all prepare ourselves and prepare our youth, both as parents and as educators.
I mean, they've said for the last 20 years that the jobs that the children will do don't exist today. And I mean, certainly, when you've got, as you say, sort of 20 to 47% of all jobs disappearing in the next 8 years, they aren't going to be there. And even today in the news, Loblaws was announcing their driverless delivery across Toronto. It's coming.
Right here in our country, in Canada, I know that there's potentially people from around the world, but it's just so interesting because I would talk to people a year ago, 6 months ago, and they'd be like, I don't know, driverless cars, I don't know if that's going to happen. Guess what? It happened in August. It's not happening in the future in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, last month or 2 months ago, right? And it's already been used for a while in the mines in Australia and in oil sands and stuff. This technology is here today. And here's one of the real challenges I think that we see about this. It's the development that's happening is invisible, right? And it's nothing, wham, massive industry disruption. And a great example of that is McDonald's and the touchscreen ordering. A few restaurants, but in 99.5% of the McDonald's restaurants around the world, nobody sees it. It's nothing. Oh, here's an innovation that's going to save us a bunch of money. Every McDonald's across the world. And once that happens, every A&W, the other Subway, Chick-fil-A, Panera Bread, the other chains start to put in technology and technological solutions to also save them money. So this is one of the big things. I speak at industry events and I connect with professional associations and stuff, and they ask me to share the information I have about robotics and AI. And through that process, I'm learning what's happening in all of these different industries. And these changes are going to be everywhere. It's interesting. When I was at a conference called Robo Universe 7 years ago. I was doing an opening keynote on all of this, and basically the audience there are predominantly roboticists and engineers. And I wasn't sure how my presentation was going to be received because I'm saying this is the disruption that is being created, effectively by you people. This is the disruption that's being created, and here's what we have to do to prepare for it. And I wasn't sure if they were going to boo me off stage, think that I was crazy or anything. But the response to that was the exact opposite. When I got off stage, I was amazed by the number of engineers and roboticists that said to me, I've never thought about it that way. And I thought that was interesting because we're at the precipice of the largest workforce and societal transition in history. And the people creating it haven't thought about the global or humanitarian or social or societal impact, right? And I think that it comes down to this. An engineer is so busy, like he's at point A, he's tasked with getting to point B, or he's an inventor and he wants to get to point B. Point B is some kind of innovation, touchscreen ordering, self-driving cars, AI for accounting, or that can write articles or do art, whatever that innovation is, the engineer is trying to get there. And we've got pretty great technology and very smart engineers and very smart programmers, so mostly they're going to get there. And so the engineers are kind of sitting there like this going, here's my goal, here's my focus, this is what I'm doing. But like,
engineers never do that.
but like the rest of us, they're not spending time in the evenings going, I wonder what's happening in the rest of the world. I wonder if I should be sharpening my axe or whatever. Like, so they're focused on their objective. But what I was hearing at that conference from the people that are actually making these changes is they didn't think about the implication, like the societal implications of what happens when there's 500,000 engineers doing this around the world in different industries. And all of these changes happen mostly at the same time. And that's why I say, like, this is a really difficult transition to navigate, because we're seeing nothing, and then it's going to swing like a sledgehammer. And this is, going back to the very first question that you asked, like, what drives me in this? I started to understand this, and I recognized that other people were saying, that's not here, it's not here, it's not here. But when you're looking behind the curtain and you're talking to industry insiders, you recognize that it's very close in a number of different ways, in a number of different places, right? So I posted about the self-driving vehicle in yesterday, but I didn't know that was happening. In Dubai, they've got self-driving cabs approved for next year. Like the disruption in the transportation industry is close to hitting, right? And it'll still take a little bit. There's still testing happening. In the Loblaw scenario, there's somebody in the passenger seat, nobody in the driver's seat. The passenger seat that he's got the kill button, right? Right, but these changes are getting real close. Like our window is narrowing and shortening, and we just have to get this moving from an educational perspective, from a self-improvement perspective for adults, in a massive hurry.
Isn't the reason for the person being in that passenger seat with the kill button more for us to feel comfortable with the situation? Because if you look at the data, driverless cars are actually safer than. I mean, I saw a crash this morning with ambulance, and literally just around the corner from my house, where somebody had jumped the lights. Where you can't jump the lights with a robot.
Well, and this is one of the interesting things is like if I'm talking to educators or just people in general, they will come back with, yeah, but what happens if one of these cars kills somebody? And without trying to be morbid, people kill people with cars every day in the thousands, right? Like these things happen around the world all the time. Driverless cars don't have to be perfect to be a marked improvement over people-driven cars. Right now,
but the chances of them being perfect are far greater. The chances of them being perfect are far greater than a human being driving. Right. So you actually have the opportunity to be perfect with a driverless car, which you unfortunately don't with a human.
Well, and I think a lot of times accidents are caused. It's not driver error all the time. A lot of times it's inattentiveness, right? Like we've all been driving down the freeway or on a semi-busy road, and we look over at the window and the person's like this, and you're like, oh. So not paying a lot of attention, right? So, and the interesting thing is the technology of an iPhone or a Samsung or a smartphone makes driverless cars more important, right? So like all of these things are moving, and there's unseen transitions and pivots coming. But the big thing is, if each of us needs to take the time to figure out how technology is going to impact our industry and our careers specifically to take care of ourselves. And simultaneously, we have to say, what can we do to make sure that our youth have the skills necessary to take the hundreds of millions of jobs that this technology will also create, right? I don't know if it's going to be one job lost, one new job. I'm a little skeptical. I hope it's better than that. Hope there's 2 new jobs for every job lost, but I'm skeptical because there's so much that technology can do. But at a minimum, we have to make sure that our youth have the skills to get these new jobs, right? So that they're not falling out of high school into a position of poverty.
Well, hopefully the jobs that are replaced, or the jobs that replace the ones that are lost, are higher value jobs. But to get those higher value jobs, then they need educational robotics literacy, I would say. Just
I would agree with that. And it's interesting when we think about the speed of innovation, how it's constantly improving. And now think of what happens if we have, a human population that is literate in these technologies. Think of the things we'll be able to achieve. Think of the creative ideas that will come out, and they will come out to people that have enough literacy to start to test those ideas and to develop them, and start to see, that innovative thinking coming to fruition. Because a lot of innovative thinking right now isn't combined with technical knowledge, or isn't combined with enough technical knowledge. How many times have we all said, there should be something that does this, but we don't know how to do it, so it never happens, right? And so giving that literacy, helping people to go, okay, is this viable? Does it make sense? You're performing a higher level of evaluation on it. So it just makes a big difference.
I'm going to ask a question here because I think it's very timely. So what is your ambition for the business? Just feels perfect to ask that question.
My selfish indulgence ambition is to help tens of millions of children become literate, and to help adults that have been displaced by this technology. This is going to seem like an odd statement to make initially, but bear with me for a second here. I think that robotics is incredibly important for people's, emotional health and mental health. And that may seem like a crazy scenario as well, because robotics is going to be displacing people. Now imagine if you've been a truck driver your whole life, and there's now self-driving trucks, you lost your job. That's your skill, right? That's how you make your living. That's how you support your family. That truck driver has the potential to fall into significant depression and feelings of worthlessness, right? And feelings of inadequacy, because now they can't support their family, and what are they going to do? And now think about all of the truck drivers and bus drivers and cab drivers that are going to be replaced, cashiers, customer service. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people globally here. That's a lot of pain. For those people to become confident and vibrant again, they're going to need upgrading of skills. And so, when you say, what's my goal? My goal is to help those people. My goal is to help students to not fall into that pool. But, a significant percentage of the children that graduate from our high schools today only have enough knowledge to take the exact type of jobs that are going away. I almost view it like every graduating class is like a giant box of cereal, and half of the kids are getting put into this pool because they don't have the knowledge needed to get these new opportunities. And that causes me a lot of pain, and that needs to stop. And so, it's again, this was my original reason for getting into this. My goal is to help millions, tens of millions of children and adults. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm also entrepreneurial minded. The side benefit of that is that it should produce an exceptional business, and it should produce a exceptional rate of return for investors, right? And I'm very pragmatic in my thinking, where I go, to help tens of millions of people, I can't do that personally. I have to build a company of this size. And a company of this size is going to need these types of resources, and it's going to produce this type of profit. And it has to produce this type of profit because that's what keeps everything moving, right? And so that's what keeps the investors going. And so the whole thing, it's not, I've got a very humanitarian bent for wanting to do this, but simultaneously I've got a very analytical minded approach to try to make sure that we're effective. And I apologize, I've got someone leaf blowing right outside my window.
No worries.
I'll take this again.
What I'm hearing from you is you are describing this massive market that is only growing and is a massive need. what is Easy Robot's unique selling point that will help you capture more than your fair share?
Well, the number one thing is for sure engagement, right? At the high school level today, and I've verified these stats with 22,000 educators. These are solid. The number of boys in schools that are offering robotics, like if we talk about how this education is important, in schools that are offering robotics, average levels of enrollment are 3% of boys, 0.3% of girls. In a school of 2,000 students, that's 30 boys and 3 girls. 1,967 not getting this education. And when we frame what we're doing in education with, like, those are the numbers, and now think about the changes that are coming. 1,967 kids out of 2,000 not getting any education about these 2 technologies that are going to transform the world. And that's a huge problem. So when I look at the share of the market that Easy Robot has the opportunity to get, certainly engagement is a huge part of it. At the high school level, we're getting 25 to 45% of students, boys and girls, virtually no differentiation between genders. And that for boys is, if we say, okay, let's say we were getting 30%, just for the sake of argument, 30% of kids, that's a 10x increase for the boys. It's a 100x increase for the girls. Now that's a solution, right? And at the middle school level, we're doing even better. We get 90%. But we have to recognize these changes are not. This is a mindset pivot that has to happen in education, going from, hey, we'll have an optional class or a club so the kids that are interested in this can learn this. It has to pivot to, how do we get everybody learning this? Even at the university level, we've got many university clients, but it's largely within engineering departments. We're starting to see some universities approach us about wanting to put in a robotics lab, in the library, or those type of things, so that all of the kids have an opportunity to get this literacy. And that's what we have to move toward, is literacy. Now, if you're working with a very basic platform, it's not powerful enough, you can't get that literacy. If you're not getting high enough levels of engagement, you can't get that literacy, right? So it has to be powerful, engaging, and easy enough that everybody can learn it, right? Because somebody who's going into business management or teaching, they don't have 2 years to learn robotics. They need to learn it in 20 hours. They need to get literacy very quickly. And with the platform, we're able to do that.
That's fantastic. So you shared your unique selling points. You've shared how big the market is. Another question we've got, you're currently doing a capital raise on Equivesto. What are your use of proceeds from this raise?
Okay, so we've got a mature and refined product, right? It's been built up and refined over the past 10 years. It works very well at this point. And so we don't have to spend a huge amount of money doing R&D, right? We've got market validation. We're in 170 countries. As a reseller, prior to becoming the CEO of Easy Robot, I was selling this plus other educational technologies. But as a reseller, I went almost 2 years without losing a sale to either of our 2 primary competitors. Those 2 competitors currently it would be a little bit of an exaggeration to say they own the market, but it's close, right? And so, but with this product and with our sales messaging, I went almost 2 years without losing a sale to either of them. And the reason for that is because we have an authentic, organic, real, true solution for the changes that are coming, the challenges that are coming, right? So our use of proceeds is 80% business development, marketing, signing up new resellers around the world, more outreach. We've got an incredible product. It does things that no other product can do. We've also got a really great marketing message. So what we need are more people to hear that marketing message. The interesting thing is our competitors will say, kids love our product, right? And they'll have a picture of a child, a student loving that product. Well, great, but that's 3% of boys and 0.3% of girls that love your product. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's true. Those girls or those boys do love those products, the engineering-minded students. But that's not, society loves our products. All kids love our product. And so we need to, and when we go to trade shows and conferences and stuff, people that see the robot in action, can see the difference. They know that this is a notch, it's a step change. So we need to be at more places. So about 80% of our proceeds will go towards business development and replicating what we've already know works. It's just scaling it now. And then the other 20% is going to go towards curriculum development. And the interesting thing for us is right now we've got robotics literacy, you got it nailed. But there's proficiency and mastery as well that this platform can take children through. So we're going to develop additional levels of curriculum with the proceeds that will allow us to take students from no knowledge to being robotics experts or programming experts. And when we do that, that has two really neat benefits for us. The first one is that schools now have a front to back solution, right? They can get kids that have no knowledge, give them literacy, and the kids that want to go to the top level, they finally have a product that is powerful enough to take those kids to the top level in an engaging way, right? So that's an important outcome that allows us to make more revenue from each of our partners or clients. It also allows our partners to make more revenue. So it's a huge win. And then, equally importantly, or more importantly, it allows the students or the adults to get the skills they need to get those new world jobs, right? So again, there's the authentic solution I was talking about. The second interesting thing that comes from this is, as we've, what we see right now in the world is all of these technologies coming, a whole bunch of companies, like people developing this, companies not understanding how to implement this. So the adult training and retraining market is also massive for us. Now, that's not what we're focused on today because we have to build this pipeline or this funnel. But once this is done, now all of the people that are losing their jobs could run through that same program and get these new world jobs. That marketplace is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, that's not what we're going after today because we've already got a real strong foothold in the education space, right? We've got product advantage. We've got a messaging and stuff that works. So we're building that up. But once we get to the point where we've got these curriculum as well, we know there's a massive secondary market that we can go after.
So, I mean, there's, we've talked about the size of the growth, but you now have a very clear strategy how to achieve that. And you also are seeking the funding to get there. And, giving a bit of background, the Easy Robot campaign is currently on Equivesto. It's already achieved over 120% of your minimum goal, and your first closing is in 4 days' time. So if this is something that piques your interest, and we've had some good questions, so it sounds like it is, then you need to be in by 11:59 Eastern time on the 10th of October. So if you can invest, the minimum is $1,000. Or if you want to use your TFSA and RSP for investments, over $2,500. And just make sure you are signed up to keep up to date on the news at Easy Robot. It's a good sort of segue into that one. So, Dennis, anything you want to say to everybody who's on the call, just as in summary?
I think that it's funny, Victoria. A lot of times when I talk about the future, the information and the statistics are intimidating. Right, so I think that has the potential to cause people to, it's a bit, frankly, it's a bit scrambling. And I know this because I've talked to 22,000 educators. I see the response, and so what I think we need to see, is a solution for what is coming. Right, we've got this huge challenge. It's coming. It doesn't matter if people want to see it or want to prepare or don't want to prepare. It's coming, and we have the opportunity because we understand what's coming, and we actually have the solution today. We can make a tangible difference today in millions of children's lives. And so I would love for people to jump in and join us on our journey. It's from just a strictly business investment perspective, it's a really excellent opportunity, I think. From a humanitarian perspective, the impact that we're going to have is going to be huge. And the company is an important company right now for what's happening in the world. It's critical that somebody is doing what we're doing. And so people that are investing, they can feel great about the returns that they should be receiving, down the road, and they can also feel great about the fact that they're transforming children's lives. It's funny. I've got the advantage of going into classrooms, right? I've demonstrated and taught robotics to 20,000 children in classrooms from around the world. I get the benefit of seeing the children's faces, of seeing their unbridled joy, of hearing comments like, I used to be afraid of robots and now I'm not. Like, just think about the impact of that one comment. What happens when a 5th grader or a 7th grader knows they can do this? How does it change their future? We hear those types of comments all the time. Educators have told us, you've changed the culture in our school. Everyone's buzzing about robotics and coding. I can't believe you got Johnny interested in learning. I've been teaching him for 3 years. He doesn't care about anything, and now he's staying after school robotics. Right? We get these really dramatic impacts with kids. I have the advantage of seeing that, and it fills my heart and it inspires me. That's the best part of my day is, and I don't get to get into classrooms very often anymore because obviously being CEO, you've got a few things on your plate. But I love it when I get a chance to, and I still try and dip in there every once in a while because it just fills my heart to see the impact we're having. And people have a chance to share in that and, help propel us forward so we can help propel society forward. And then really they're investing in a company that is a leader in what is a massively growing marketplace, right? And that's got to be a good place to be from an investment perspective.
So I'm going to ask final question. You've very clearly articulated sort of the opportunity, how you're going to capture it, how the business is going to make money. How are investors going to make money?
So we are, we don't have at this point, a super obvious exit strategy. It's not like we're going to do this for 5 years and go public. So that's an important thing to state. But we are going to be a leading company in a massively important and growing business with significantly increasing revenues and profits. That is important for 2 reasons. One, it makes us a prime acquisition target. Number 2, we already have a spectacular piece of technology over the next 4 or 5 years, and we're doing this super aggressively today. We're going to be growing our reseller network, training them, making sure they're effective, working globally. And so we don't need to go out and acquire companies to get their technology. We don't need to go out and spend huge money on R&D. We're, as a company, set up to grow rapidly in terms of revenues and profits. And we are forecasting that we'll be paying very healthy dividends. So from an investment perspective, this could become an exceptional buy and hold investment. Or we anticipate that, well, there's almost no question that people are coming to want to acquire the company in time because we've got an exceptional product that does everything. Even if other companies come along that have great products, our product already does everything. And I do mean that literally, right? You can hook up LiDAR. That's the same technology they use for self-driving cars. You can do that today with our product, right? So you can do all of these incredibly advanced things. So if other people come along that can also do advanced things, okay, now they can join us as a great product. But it's going to be really hard to unseat us. And as we develop this network of resellers and makerspace people and people teaching it in after-school programs and educators that love it, then we don't have to go out and acquire customers either, like to buy customer lists or whatnot. So we get this real nice organic, stable growth curve. That's a very dramatic growth curve. You've seen the pitch deck, and and that opens up the potential for really, really healthy dividends. So I think this is probably a little overstated, but I think it's a bit of a cash machine in terms of an investment opportunity. Right? We'll see, future looking statements and all that, right? We don't know for sure what the future looks like, but the forecasts look great, and we know the product is great. We know the marketing message is great. And we know the marketplace is going to be incredibly, incredibly large. So the opportunity is really great.
That's, I think, a perfect place to finish the day. So thank you very much, Dennis. for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for asking your questions. I hope we managed to address everything. As I mentioned, go on to Equivesto, EQUIVESTO.com for the full information and to invest online. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
And don't forget, first closing, 10th of October, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
Thanks, everybody.